Yeah, and you mentioned one thing before when we first started talking at the beginning of the podcast. So I'm actually applying to school to get my psych nurse practitioner. So I'm curious on what you did when you were working inpatient psych, just out of curiosity, because I've only worked in ICU my whole life. So I've never worked in inpatient psych. So my goal is to, get my psych NP and then eventually ideally open up my own clinic, do like cancer medication, maybe like men's health kind of a stuff. But I'm really curious on how inpatient psych is for, because you were a psychologist, correct, in inpatient psych?
Well, no, my title at the time was behavioral health therapist. And so what we would do is the nurses had pretty much primary control of, or authority over in a way, but responsibility for medications, physical health, that kind of stuff. They were the only ones who could give pills, give shots. If there was a wound, they addressed that and monitored, a wound healing, that kind of thing. And then the behavioral health therapists were assigned as a partner with the nurses to conduct the psychiatric analysis on a given shift. So it was shift work, 8 to 12. It was 8 hours mostly. I'd missed those days. But now I'm working from home, working like 12-hour days, 7 days a week, which I love it. It's great. But, if I could just work 8 hours and, make a living. So the behavioral health therapist would be primarily responsible for doing the clinical charting and assessment in terms of where is this person at? What symptoms are they showing? Is there any, we're generating, detailed clinical notes of kind of here's how the day went. And compare it to another day, prior shifts, patient has started to socialize, whereas previously they were completely isolated for 3 days. We just documented, here's the change. Then the psychiatrist will come along and read those notes and go, getting better. Good. That's what we want to see. Depression's easing out. Looks like the meds are working. But also the primary contact for, hey, does the patient need anything? Come to me. I'm your guy. Do you want to sit down and talk? You having a hard time? De-escalating people that are, heading for a conflict and leading restraints as necessary. If someone is really out of control, severely psychotic or just personality disordered and trying to smash windows. So a little all of the above. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's almost like you're doing your own little assessment and evaluation of how things are progressing and what's actually kind of going on to like the day-to-day activities.
Yeah. And doing the shift work thing, we were there every day and we had a different group of folks that did like ongoing therapeutic interaction. So it wasn't my role it wasn't like private one-to-one counseling where the person comes in, you get to know them, you sit and talk, you find out what the problems are, you make a strategy, you meet every week at the same time to try and track progress. There was no ability to do that consistently, to make a plan of care and to propose therapeutic interventions and have them follow through. We could do it ad hoc. We could do it in the moment. We could say, and we would always sit down and talk to people to get that analysis and write a clinical note. We don't just, it's not just behavioral. It was like, well, how are you feeling? What are you thinking about this stuff? What's, do you have any new perspective on what you've been through? Do you want to talk about what you've been through? Some people don't, it's fine. But during those discussions, you would look for opportunities to be useful in a way. And part of that was dreams. I did quite a few with folks, where I had, 20 minutes, half an hour to kind of go through the details and throw out a few ideas and say, what if you look at it this way? What do you think? And I go, yeah, that kind of makes sense. So I get a little validation on that score too, and hopefully provided something useful.
Yeah. And then working in inpatient psych. So I did have a psych clinical years ago when I was in nursing school, and there were some people that had very violent dreams. Why do people have very violent dreams? Have you ever came into an individual that had very violent dreams and that kind of translated to them being, struggling emotionally or just violent and just like a violent person in general?
Most of the folks who were the most violent were either kind of on the behavior or what is a personality disordered side of sociopathy, and not really interested in therapy or willing to open up about it. If they had a violent dream, they kept it to themselves. So maybe so. That said, I have talked to people who had violent imagery in their dreams, And it was not uncommon for it to be related to past traumas. It was usually them, the victim of the violence in the dream, or in the rare instances where they were enacting the violence. And I use this example too, and this is just complete fabrication on my part. If you have a dream that you stab your dog, and you woke up from the dream horrified and just gut-wrenchingly sick to your stomach, why would I do that? That was awful. I do not look at that as, oh my God, you really want to hurt your dog. You need to give it away. You need to check yourself in for care. Usually it's something along the lines of imagining you did something horrible. You made a horrible mistake that caused harm to someone or something near you that is helpless, dependent, and that you care for greatly. You didn't wake up in the dream going, that was fun. I can't wait to do it. You were horrified. Why would I do this? And so it's more conceptualizing. It's not about the dog. It's not about the knife. And it's not about the imagery of the dream as such. It's more the concepts involved. Like that idea of assessing, what if I'm responsible for someone or something else and I do damage? How bad, how terrible would I feel? And you wake up feeling terrible. And I was like, mission accomplished. A lot of dreams are thought experiments. What if I look at it this way? What if this thing happens? And that's a lot of what we do when we're daydreaming too, is either looking into the future going, it's going to be so nice when I have all the things I want, or we catastrophize or fantasize about all the things that could go wrong. Well, this, that, or the other.